Hi, my name is Andy Zhang, and today I'm going to be going over alopecia areata. So, what exactly is alopecia areata? Alopecia is an autoimmune condition where the body's immune cells attack hair follicles on accident, leading to uncontrolled hair loss. Today, I'll explain the basic biology of alopecia and the cell signaling pathway involved in the disease. And here on the right, you can see an image of two people demonstrating what alopecia looks like. And as you can see, there is significant hair loss in both of them. All right, so moving on, I'm going to be going over a brief overview of hair follicles. And in a healthy person, the hair follicle is an immune privileged site, which means that T cells are normally kept out of these cells by chemical signals that suppress inflammation. However, in alopecia, this protection fails and the follicle becomes visible to the T cells, and T cells are able to release cytokines targeting the follicle in a cytotoxic inflammatory response, which means that the T cells will be able to kill the hair follicles, which will lead to hair loss. And uh, in this diagram on the right, you can see the structure of the hair follicle within tissue. And then, um, so um, the main cell signaling pathway for alopecia is the JAK-STAT signaling pathway. And in this pathway, the key ligand is interferon gamma, which is released by activated T cells. So interferon gamma will bind to cell surface interferon gamma cytokine receptors on hair follicle cells, which will activate JAK kinases to phosphorylate STAT proteins, causing them to dimerize. These activated STATs will then move into the nuclei of these cells and turn on inflammatory genes, um, which will express MHC class 1 molecules, which will make the follicle look like a target to the immune system. This will cause the CD8 T cells to then infiltrate the follicle and deliver toxic granules to the hair follicle, triggering apoptosis of the hair follicle cells, contributing to overall hair loss, which is why alopecia patients often exhibit hair loss. And in this diagram, on the right, you can see the pathway, the JAK-STAT pathway, where you can see the CD8 T cell release interferon gamma, which binds to a receptor on the hair follicle cell, which then activates JAK2, which activates STAT, which then enters the nucleus, and then MHC class 1 molecule is released. So, in the correct mechanism, which is what most normal people have without alopecia, immune cells aren't able to detect the hair follicle cells due to their immune privilege. This means that the interferon gamma receptors and the JAK-STAT pathway will stay inactive, meaning that MHC class 1 molecule expression will be suppressed, which means that the T cells won't be able to detect the hair follicle cells and won't be able to kill them or release in hair loss, which will allow for normal hair growth. And on in this diagram on the right, you can see um, the structure of a healthy hair follicle. However, on the other hand, if you have a faulty mechanism, immune cells will be able to detect the hair follicle cells due to the immune privilege of the hair follicle cell collapsing. This means that the interferon gamma will be able to bind to their receptors on the hair follicle cell, which will activate the JAK-STAT pathway and cause overexpression of MHC class 1 molecules, which will lead to T cells being able to detect it will lead to T cells being able to detect the hair follicle cells and kill them, which will lead to hair loss. And then on the right, you can see a diagram of a hair follicle with alopecia. And as you can see, interferon gamma expression is upregulated. And here are my references. Thank you.